Chapter 330, Yuna-sensei, literally. The elders stilled as soon as they saw the kunai Hisoka was holding. Naturally, they knew exactly what kind of purpose it had and what would happen if Hisoka were to throw it. Moments later, a sneer appeared on the face of one of the elders and he started talking. So what if you can call her here? Do you think she can take on everyone by herself as the yellow flash could? Hisoka looked at the elder who just spoke in bewilderment before her expression was replaced by one filled with pity. First, even if she can't take on a whole army by herself, there are only 9 people here, so I don't see your point. Second, wanna try? As Hisoka asked that question, a huge smirk appeared on her face while she lifted up the kunai, causing the elders to frown. Hisoka's confidence that Yuna could handle the situation made their own falter. Still, it was already too late for regrets, and since they had already made it clear that they were after Hayashi's life, there was no longer a way to paddle back. Hisoka saw the resolve in the elder's eyes and shook her head in disappointment while tossing the kunai into the ground. When the Hyuga clan elders saw Hisoka toss the kunai, their eyes became fierce as they prepared themselves to attack. They were just about to charge at Hisoka, Neja, and Hayashi when Yuna appeared next to the trio, and as soon as the elders saw Yuna's current appearance, they almost tripped over their own feet. Currently, Yuna was wearing a tight-fitting black latex skirt, paired with a similar top and black boots with large heels. Additionally, she wore glasses with a strong, black frame and held a long ruler in her hand. Things back home were about to get steamy, so this better be important, Hisoka. Hisoka and Neja's faces both flushed red, and they immediately averted her eyes when they saw Yuna's skin-tight outfit, while the 9 elders and Hayashi were utterly bewildered by it. You dare to mock us like th? Smack. One of the elders was apparently offended by Yuna's outfit and attacked her, but before he could even finish speaking, a ruler smacked him into the face, sending him flying back. Bad. I didn't give you permission to speak yet. Such a naughty boy. After Yuna finished speaking, her gaze wandered around the people surrounding her and standing next to her, and moments later, she realized what was going on. Elders cooping against the patriarch, huh? What a classic. I know, right? On a side note, is that ruler used? Well, if you want to know if I have ever used it to measure something, then the answer is no. You know exactly how I meant that, Yuna-sensei. In that case, yes, I have used it to spank Hinata and Karen before. Hisoka chuckled in amusement as her gaze landed on the elder who was just smacked into the face by Yuna. A sneer of ridicule appeared on her face as she started speaking to him. Elder butt-face. Time seemed to freeze when everyone heard Hisoka's words, and after understanding what she meant, the elder's eyes became red in anger. Kill them already? The elder's yell finally managed to get the others out of their daze, resulting in all of them charging the group of 4 in anger. Or, to be more precise, all of them planned to attack Yuna, who they deemed to be the most troublesome. Yuna chuckled in amusement when she saw that the people surrounding her were charging towards her. Another smack echoed through the Hyuga clan compound when Yuna's ruler smacked into the first elder's face yet again. Then, she tossed the ruler upwards and caught the 2 palms that were approaching her from both sides by the wrist, breaking them with her grit strength alone. The split moment when the 2 elders whose wrists she just broke were distracted due to the pain, Yuna lifted both of them up and tossed them at 2 others, causing them to crash into each other, breaking a few more bones in the process. Now, only 4 Hyuga clan elders remained standing, and instead of palm strikes, they used the 8 trigrams 128 palms to approach Yuna at high speed. Yuna only scoffed in disdain as 4 chains shot out of her body far faster than the elders could react and smacked them against the head, knocking them out. While that was happening, another chain shot out of Yuna and grabbed the elder she previously slapped with the ruler and who was the only one still conscious. While he was being pulled towards Yuna, she lifted her hand, caught the ruler she previously threw up, and gave him another smack, knocking him out this time. Bunch of small fries. Pathetic. Meanwhile, Hayashi had cold sweat flowing down his back like a river when he saw Yuna knocking out all the Hyuga clan's elders in under 5 seconds. What in the world is going on? I was afraid of attacking the Uzumaki clan because I wasn't certain of whether Yuna could really activate the branch family's curse seal or not, but it seems like that didn't even matter in the end. Considering the 9 elders' age, they weren't exactly the Hyuga clan's strongest, but they definitely weren't weak. Yet, Yuna could easily beat them up like they were genin fresh out of the academy. This is beyond ridiculous. Meanwhile, Yuna looked around the knocked-out elder and shook her head in dissatisfaction. Well, despite there being 9 people, that couldn't even be considered foreplay, so I guess I'm going back. No clue how your clan's rules work, but I left all 9 of them alive. Before Yuna continued speaking, she glanced at the 4 people she threw into each other and noticed that they had quite a few body parts bent in unnatural directions. Probably. Anyway, you can do whatever you want with them, Hayashi. CYA. Yuna was about to teleport away when Hayashi hastily approached her. Please wait a moment. An annoyed look appeared on Yuna's face, but moments later, she adjusted the position of her glasses with a stern expression on her face. Very well, you may speak. Although Hayashi's eyebrows twitched in irritation at Yuna's attitude, he suppressed those misgivings for now and started speaking with a sincere tone. Thank you for saving me, and I am sorry for planning to interfere with the Uzumaki clan. If someone had told him that he would apologize to Yuna a day ago, he would have probably mocked that person mercilessly for such a stupid claim, but now, after seeing what Yuna was capable of, he concluded that that was the only way for the Hyuga clan to continue existing. However, Yuna only rolled her eyes at Hayashi's apology. Sure, whatever, it's not like it did any damage to us, so I honestly don't care. As for saving you, that was only a side effect. I came here to save Hisoka, and everything else was just a bonus. Although Yuna's words annoyed him quite a bit, Hayashi was still happy that Yuna wouldn't retaliate against the Hyuga clan. Well, considering that no one came despite the ruckus, I'm pretty sure that these 9 aren't the only ones who were involved in this matter. I don't mind disciplining them a little if you want me to. As soon as Yuna finished speaking, she menacingly swung around the ruler in her hand, causing Hisoka, Neja, and even Hayashi to automatically take a step back due to the dangerous aura she was leaking. Cold sweat was flowing down Hayashi's back as he quickly shook his head. That won't be necessary. I will deal with this by myself. Yuna only disinterestedly shrugged her shoulders, and moments later, she teleported away. The trio was about to sigh in relief when Yuna left, but before they could do so, she reappeared. Oh, and Hisoka, I will be busy for the next 6 hours, so you better not get into trouble again. After she finished speaking, all 3 of them sighed in relief due to Yuna being gone, and moments later, Hayashi started talking. Very well, it seems like things in the Hyuga clan are messier than I expected them to be. This will be a pain to clean up. Chapter 331, Internal Discussion. Hayashi was currently sitting at the head of a long meeting table, while the other members of the Hyuga clan's main family were also seated around the table. Considering how constipated most of them looked, it was rather evident that they would prefer to be somewhere else. Additionally, Hisoka, who clearly wasn't allowed to be here, was casually leaning against the wall behind Hayashi. When the people of the main family saw her being here, they wanted to throw her out immediately, but before they could do so, Hisoka started playing around with a white snowflake-like kunai, which made all of them stiffen. Naturally, Yuna told Hisoka not to call her again for now, but most of the people in the room didn't know about it. Although Hayashi and Neja knew that, the presence of the special kunai could still keep the others in line, so they said nothing. Every single person in the Hyuga clan possesses the Byakugan, so they naturally saw what happened after Yuna appeared. The way Yuna quickly demolished the 9 elders was quite the reality check for most of the people in the room. Previously, they thought that the Hyuga clan was uncontested in Konoha after the fall of the Uchiha clan, but now they realized how wrong they were. Although the 9 people Yuna defeated weren't precisely the strongest the clan had to offer simply due to their age, but they indeed were some of the more powerful individuals. It took Yuna less than 5 seconds to knock every single one of them out, and she did all of that without even using the Kyuubi's chakra or her ice. In conclusion, even if everyone in the room combined their strength, they will probably not be her match. The people in the room weren't exactly helping in the rebellion, but they didn't want to stop it either, so most of them decided to take a wait-and-see approach and simply followed the one who came out victorious. Unfortunately, Yuna pointed out how unnatural it was for no one to appear despite the ruckus, making it relatively clear that the 9 elders had at least some form of consent to their actions. Hayasha looked at the face of everyone in the room and snorted in disdain. Honestly, he would have liked to get all of them executed, but he knew that that would destabilize the Hyuga clan even further. Right now, they had to display a united front instead of giving the internal conflict a new reason for existing. After all, the initial cause, the attack against the Uzumaki clan, no longer existed. No one in the room was jaded enough to wage war against the Uzumaki clan after Yuna displayed her strength. First of all 9 elders of the Hyuga clan will be executed for treason. They maliciously tried to kill me out of their own greed and wished to seize control of the clan, after all. Sighs of relief echoed through the room before everyone obediently nodded their heads. Hayashi's words were easy for everyone in the room to understand. He would forgive them for not helping him fight against the elders. Next, Yuna Uzumaki. How should we act? That is obvious. We should stay clear of her and not provoke her in any way. While everyone in the room was nodding in agreement, a slight chuckle echoed through the room, causing the person who just spoke to frown. Do you have a problem with what I just said, Mutt? Hearing the aggressive words directed at her, Hisoka flinched and accidentally let the kunai she played with fall out of her hand. Everyone's eyes bulged while their gazes were firmly fixed on the kunai that appeared to be falling to the ground in slow motion. Third. Only a little sound was produced when the tip of the kunai sank into the ground, but everyone in the room felt like it was almost loud enough to shatter their eardrums. However, moments later, the kunai exploded into a small smoke cloud, and when the smoke was gone, a normal kunai was pierced into the ground instead of Yuna's special one. It seems you have a slight misunderstanding there. The very existence of the Hyuga clan is provoking her, and the only reason why she didn't make a move yet is that people of the branch family are treated as servants and not as slaves, and the punishment seal is rarely used. As for how long she is willing to stay silent about that, I have no idea. So you want us to change an ancient tradition of our clan just because an outsider doesn't like it? That's ridiculous. Hisoka could only shake her head in dismay when she heard that and pointed at the kunai that was still stuck in the floor. Do you know what you felt when I dropped the kunai and you thought that Yuna-sensei would appear in here? It was fear. You are terrified of her strength, and to put it bluntly, you should be. Before the argument between Hisoka and the other attending people could escalate further, Hayasha decided to intervene. Hisoka, can you tell us how strong she actually is? The last time she publicly displayed her strength was when she killed the Sanbi in the Land of Water, and that was over 2 years ago. A frown appeared on Hisoka's face as she pondered on Hayashi's question, and moments later, she simply shook her head. I am honestly not sure, but what I can tell you is that she and Naruto can both control at least 7 taels worth of the Kyuubi's chakra, and when they do, they move faster than my eyes can follow. A solemn attitude engulfed the room when Hisoka stopped speaking. Although few people in the room would ever admit it, Hisoka was already relatively strong even compared to some fully grown Hyuga. If she couldn't even see the move, then only people at Hayashi's level would have a chance at dodging an attack. As for winning the fight, that was obviously impossible. While the atmosphere was getting worse, Ninja shook his head and took out a storage scroll. After injecting a little bit of chakra into it, a huge scroll puffed into existence. While we are at it, I might as well add a few things. Recently, I remembered Yuna's words about the origin of the caged bird seal and started digging through our library for information. Quite a few people frowned when Ninja brought up a topic they would rather not remember, but as the next clan head, Ninja had enough standing for no one to call him out on that. First of all, there are no records about a version of our seal that only seals our eyes after death and nothing else. A satisfied expression appeared on the faces of everyone in the room, but Ninja wasn't done yet. Unfortunately, some records have clearly been erased while other things have been covered up and modified. As soon as Ninja stopped speaking, he unfurled the scroll, and as soon as the people in the room saw its content, their facial expressions became ugly. It was a timeline of the Hyuga clan's actions since its founding, and there clearly was a hole in it. Well, I searched throughout the whole library to piece together a timeline, which was very obnoxious since the way years were counted was switched around multiple times, but no matter where I searched, there are no records about this blank time period of about 100 years, while the documents before it are only very vague and almost impossible to read. Before anyone could comment on Neja's words, an ancient-looking scroll appeared in his hand, which he also unfurled. Luckily, whoever did this wasn't thorough enough to hide everything away. I found an ancient drawing that might shed some light on the situation. While the first scroll shocked them a little, this one almost caused them to fight. The scroll contained a single drawing that appeared to be a family picture. But what immediately stuck out was that every single person had white eyes and a small dot on their head. A dot that looked very similar to the one Hinata showed off during the Chunin exam. Heavy silence covered the room when everyone realized what was going on, and only after a few minutes did Hayasha break the silence. Sai, although we can't be certain whether all of Yuna's words were true or not since all the records were destroyed, but someone clearly manipulated the way the Hyuga clan is run. Whether the person doing so did it with malicious intentions or due to their greed is probably something we will never find out. When Hayasha stopped speaking, Hisoka's eyes widened in realization, and she stepped forward with a severe expression on her face. I might have an idea who is responsible for that. Chapter 332, Secrets and Manipulation. When Hayasha mentioned that someone might have manipulated the Hyuga clan with malicious intentions, an image of a black creature immediately popped up in Hisoka's head. Did Black Zetsu do that? Strictly speaking, the Hyuga clan is also a descendant of the Utsutsuki clan, so that might be possible. Should I tell the Hyuga clan about it? Although I don't care too much about the Hyuga clan, I still made some friends here and would rather not see it decline too much, and a common enemy, even if they are unreachable for now, is just the thing the Hyuga clan needs. Hisoka pondered some more and then simply shrugged her shoulders and stepped forward. I might have an idea who is responsible for that. Naturally, everyone gave Hisoka a weird look when those words left her mouth. After all, how could she possibly know about something that happened hundreds of years ago? Despite that, Hayasha motioned for her to continue speaking. But before she started talking, she took out a huge paper tag and put it on the wall, causing the room walls to glow for a short moment. Before anyone could ask what Hisoka had just done, Hisoka began her explanation. Extra security measure. The thing I'm going to talk about is beyond slippery, and I would rather not have him know that I know about him. Although this is just a wild guess, a creature called Zetsu might be responsible for the change in the Hyuga clan. Naturally, no one in the room knew who that was, so Hisoka simply continued talking. He is an ancient creature that has been secretly manipulating the shinobi world for a long time now. Although I'm not sure what his end goal is, but he clearly wishes for the decline of the shinobi world. Everyone in the room started frowning when they heard Hisoka's claim, and after thinking about her words for a short moment, Hayashi opened his mouth. Do you have any proof for your claim, Hisoka? Not really, but Yuna-sensei has met him once. Apparently, he was the one who was partially responsible for the outrageous policies that caused Kirigakure to decline. Additionally, Sensei said that the Kyuubi had a very adverse reaction to him as well. When Hisoka stopped speaking, everyone in the room started quietly digesting her words, causing her to nod in approval. As Yuma-sensei said, if you want someone to believe you, you need to mix the lies with the truth. After another short silence, Hayasha started speaking again. It doesn't matter. An outsider manipulated us and changed our traditions. I say we honor our ancestors and go back to how it previously was. Hisoka almost laughed out loud when Hayasha stopped speaking. She did not expect him to be capable of making such a sly move. Instead of changing how the Hyuga clan functions due to being afraid of Yuna's retaliation, he made it sound like they were just going back to how their ancestors handled the clan affairs instead. Naturally, quite a few people in the room immediately approved of the idea, making the whole matter even more amusing for Hisoka. After Hayasha realized that his little trick passed through easily, he nodded in approval. Very well, henceforth, the Hyuga clan will go back to using the original version of our seal. Hisoka, due to being Yuna's student, you should have a better idea about the necessary skills needed to change the seal back into its original form. Any insights? Although Hisoka was slightly taken aback by suddenly becoming part of the conversation again, she quickly answered Hayasha's inquiry anyway. Yes. First of all, I need to know whether you are willing to hire the Uzumaki clan for this or whether you would like an independent seal master to do it, Hayasha-sama. Hayasha frowned when he heard Hisoka's question, and after thinking about it for a short moment, he asked Hisoka a question in return. What is the difference? If we want to hire an independent seal master, we will have to pay them for their service, which, considering how many seals they will have to modify, will be pretty expensive. Additionally, if no one like this resides in Konoha, we will have to hire an escort for him as well, which would probably be a B rank or maybe even an A rank mission. A frown appeared on Hayasha's face when he heard Hisoka's explanation. Although he knew about the cost of hiring a seal master, he didn't think about how expensive something like that would actually be. Well, the Hyuga clan isn't exactly poor, but all the things Hisoka just described would definitely make a dent in their budget, which the other people of the main family will not be too happy about. And if I were to be willing to involve the Uzumaki clan, I guess making an Uzumaki-only C-rank mission will do. Silence covered the room, and it took Hayasha quite a while to regain his wits. Huh? Well, regain his wits is probably the wrong term to use. Hisoka couldn't help but chuckle in amusement when she saw the dumbfounded expressions of everyone in the room, so she decided to one-up her precious statement. Well, D rank would probably be enough, but I think we should allow ourselves to have a little safety margin. Only after about a minute did Hayasha regain his power of speech. Are you claiming that a genin could restore the Hyuga clan seal to how it originally was, Hisoka? Of course not, that would be ridiculous. I'm saying that a genin from the Uzumaki clan could do it. A deep frown marred with disbelief appeared on Hayasha's face as he looked at Hisoka with doubt. Aren't you exaggerating the Uzumaki clan's skill a little too much? A simple genin can't attain such a high level of mastery in sealing. Hisoka could only shake her head in disapproval when she heard Hayasha's claim. Hayasha-sama, let me ask you a question in return. Does a simple genin have the ability to scout something that is 10 kilometers ahead of them? Hayasha thought for a moment before he nodded his head. Yes, they can, but only if they are from the Hyuga clan. Correct. It's the same with sealing and the Uzumaki clan. It's simply part of their bloodline. I have seen a 2-year-old's doodles where parts of it were eerily similar to some seals I have seen before. Hayasha's eyes widened in surprise when he heard Hisoka's words. He had never seen it from that kind of perspective because he always thought that sealing was some form of esoteric art that only very few could learn. Naturally, he knew that Uzumakis were supposed to be talented in seals, but he thought it was something along the lines of someone being exceptionally skilled in genjutsu or ninjutsu and not to the level of an Uchiha, who could learn a ninjutsu with just a glance, or a Hyuga, who were unparalleled in scouting ahead and detecting chakra. Many things became much easier for him to digest when he considered sealing as some form of Uzumaki clan exclusive Kekai Genkai that could possibly be learned by other people to some minor degree. I see, so that is why those twins have such an abnormal skill in sealing. It's part of their bloodline. As soon as Hayasha stopped speaking, Hisoka's expression stiffened, which naturally was noticed by Hayasha. Oh? Did I say something wrong? I wouldn't really call it wrong, but those two are a bit special. First, Naruto's talent is beyond monstrous. If I were to compare it with the Uchiha clan, it would probably be like an Uchiha who activated their Sharingan directly after birth. Second, Yuna-sensei is somehow even more ridiculous in that regard. Frankly, her very existence is a mockery to everyone who has ever called themselves a genius. Her birth was a perverted freak incident where somehow all the stars aligned and a supreme monster was born. Hayashi couldn't help but look at the now absent-minded Hisoka weirdly. Isn't your current position in the Hyuga clan mainly dependent on your relationship with her? Are you sure you are okay with insulting Yuna like that? Hisoka looked at Hayashi in confusion. At first, she had no idea what he was talking about, but she realized what was going on after a short moment. Sorry about that. I have been spending quite a bit of time with people that are used to Yuna-sensei, so I was confused there for a moment. If she heard I said those words about her, she would only nod in approval before asking why I was praising her like that and whether I was buttering up to her because I wanted her to do something for me. Seriously? Yeah. Even Hayashi couldn't help but wonder about Hisoka's words, but when Hisoka answered his question with a distant look and empty eyes, he decided that he would rather not ask any more questions. There are things that should be known and things that shouldn't be known, and this case clearly belongs to the second category. Honestly, I would like to know how she managed to train 3 people who passed the Chunin exams on the first try, but I think that might not be the best idea now that I have seen Hisoka's mental state. Anyway, we will create a sea rake mission to change back the seals to how they were supposed to be. From today on, the Hyuga clan shall rise under the guidance of our ancestors. Yes. Chapter 333, An Unexpected Meeting. While the Hyuga clan was going through its internal restructuring, Naruto, Ino, and Haku were strolling through the Land of Sound, or, as it was previously known as, the Land of Rice Paddies, which, considering there were rice paddies everywhere, was a much more fitting name. Although Jiraiya was traveling with them, he ran off a few minutes ago to do something important. If it came to spotting women he could peek on, Jiraiya's senses somehow managed to surpass Naruto's, so he had no idea where Jiraiya currently was but wasn't too bothered with it. Sooner or later, he will reappear. Currently, Ino was walking by Naruto's right side and was HL'ing his HND, while Haku was doing the same on his left side. None of them said anything as a peaceful atmosphere surrounded the trio. However, after walking like that for about half an hour, a weird expression appeared on Naruto's face, which Ino and Haku naturally noticed. "What's wrong, Naruto?" Naruto smiled weakly when he heard Haku's question. "It seems we are about to meet an acquaintance." "An acquaintance?" "Yeah, he will be here soon." Ino was just about to open her mouth and asked who was coming when her head snapped in a certain direction. No way, to think we would meet him here. A pout appeared on Haku's face when she heard Ino's words. Of the trio, her sensing capabilities were by far the weakest, so she was a little annoyed that the other two still hadn't told her who would be coming. Moments later, 3 people landed in front of the trio, and when Haku saw the person leading the group, her eyes widened in surprise. Black hair, black eyes, and an arrogant smirk on his face, who else could it be but Sasuke Uchiha? Following him was a man with smooth white hair, purple eyes, and pointed teeth. He also had a big sword strapped to his back, and a large man with orange hair and red-orange eyes that was giving off a peaceful aura. A deep sigh escaped Naruto's mouth when he saw Sasuke's arrogant smirk. "Listen, Sasuke, I'm currently on a date with my girlfriends, so how about we forget we met each other and go our ways?" Sasuke's sneer grew even wider as he happily interpreted Naruto's words as Naruto being afraid of him. Hee, that's right, you should be afraid of my power now. While you wasted your time playing around with women, I was getting more and more powerful. Naruto, Ino, and Haku rolled their eyes at Sasuke's words, and Naruto continued speaking. Yes, I'm terrified. Anyway, we'll be leaving now. The trio was just about to walk away when Sasuke drew out his sword and pointed it at Naruto. I don't think so. You will serve as a good stepping stone before I take my revenge on Yuna and Itachi. Juga, Suigetsu, take out the women, I will deal with Naruto. Gahahaha, kill. I will kill them all. As soon as Sasuke finished speaking, the big person with orange hair, called Juga, started laughing like a maniac, while his facial features distorted in madness and his skin became darker. Without a moment of hesitation, he charged at the trio and jumped towards Ino, causing an annoyed expression to appear on her face. She was not happy that her date with Naruto was interrupted. Despite that, she took some distance from Naruto and lured Juga away so that she could fight him without distractions. Since Sasuke wanted to be beaten up in a one-on-one fight, she didn't mind fulfilling his wish. Haku came to the same conclusion, so, without any further delay, she attacked the person with long white hair, Suigetsu. Meanwhile, Naruto's face deadpanned when he saw Sasuke's teammate go crazy as soon as the fight started. It seems like you surrounded yourself with like-minded people, Sasuke. Good job. MMPH, instead of speaking nonsense, you should be worried about yourself and your two little girlfriends. Naruto could only shake his head when he heard Sasuke's words. Those two can handle themselves, as for me, sorry, but you are not my match. Sasuke disappeared from his position and reappeared in front of Naruto with his sword already reeled backward. Moments later, it pierced through Naruto's shoulder while a disdainful smirk appeared on Sasuke's face. Are you sure about that? Boom. A second Naruto appeared next to Sasuke, and moments later, a loud sound echoed over the clearing as fist met face, sending Sasuke flying backward, while the Naruto who was stabbed just now turned into a smoke cloud. Yeah, pretty sure, you know. Sasuke slowly got up from the ground and glared at Naruto, with his two Sharingan menacingly shining. I will definitely kill you, Naruto. Haha, sure, bring it. Meanwhile, Ino was sitting on a boulder while casually humming to herself and watching Juga fighting an enemy only he could see around 100 meters away from her. How interesting, I decided to take a peek into his head to see what the mind of a crazy person is like, but his real personality is actually someone who prefers peace, and he only goes crazy due to rampaging natural energy. I guess I will make him waste some more energy before I get rid of him. I don't want to be hit by any stray projectiles, after all. MHH, now that I think about it, his transformation is somewhat similar to the way Naruto described Orochimaru's curse seal to me. Maybe Yuna will be interested in this guy. Oh well, I guess I will just knock him out and store him in one of the scrolls Naruto gave to me. At the same time, Haku's fight against Suigetsu was even more anticlimactic. Suigetsu could turn his whole body into water, Haku can use ice style. Anyway, currently, every part of Suigetsu's body was turned into an ice statue except for his head. While Suigetsu was furiously cursing Haku, she kept poking his face curiously and watched him turn into water with fascination. How can someone turn entirely into water and not die? How fascinating. I will bag this one up and give him to Yuna later. She might be interested in finding out how his body works. Chapter 334, Making a Very Bad Move. A deep frown appeared on Sasuke's face when he saw Naruto's calm and confident smile. This was not how he expected the first exchange to happen at all. He thought he could immediately overwhelm Naruto with his speed and give him a severe wound at the start of the fight. Sasuke shook his head to get rid of idle thoughts and put his focus on Naruto instead. He flared his chakra and shot towards Naruto, this time with his Sharingan activated. Naruto reeled back his fist and punched towards the approaching Sasuke, but Sasuke easily dodged Naruto's first punch, while his eyes already detected the path the second one would take. Sasuke decided to block the attack with his hand while slashing his sword at Naruto. Unfortunately, as soon as Naruto's punch collided with his arm, he realized that he had made a mistake. Instead of standing his ground, he slid backward and only came to a halt after a few meters. Rather than blocking a punch, Sasuke felt like he was just hit by a train. A cocky smile that mimicked Sasuke's previous expression appeared on Naruto's face. Hee, what's wrong, Sasuke? I'm not even warmed up properly, but you are already struggling. Anger flashed across Sasuke's face when he heard Naruto's mocking words, and a moment later, his hands blurred into a multitude of hand signs. Fire style, grand fireball technique. Oh, distraction no jutsu, a good choice. Naruto jumped out of the fireball's path, and as he expected, Sasuke was already forming new hand signs. Fire style, fire dragon jutsu. A huge dragon shot out of Sasuke's mouth and approached Naruto, causing his facial expression to become more severe as he quickly went through a few hand signs as well. Wind style, massive breakthrough. Strictly speaking, using wind style against fire style was not a good idea, but that was only the case if the two attacks were at the same power level. The moment the two jutsu collided, the fire dragon was shredded to pieces by the powerful storm Naruto's jutsu created. Chidori. While the two jutsu collided, Sasuke appeared next to Naruto, his hand already shining with concentrated lightning chakra. Naturally, Naruto's senses picked up Sasuke's movement, and he was already ready for him. The moment Sasuke's Chidori was about to reach him, a spinning chakra ball formed on his hand, which he swiftly crashed into Sasuke's attack, resulting in a loud explosion. Rasengan. Boom. Initially, Naruto rarely used the Rasengan his father created, but recently he has gotten a liking to it and started using it more frequently. A jutsu that can instantly be formed with one hand was incredibly useful, after all. Naruto and Sasuke both slid back a little after their attacks collided, and while Naruto still had a casual expression on his face, there was a deep frown on Sasuke's. This fight wasn't going how he wanted it to at all. Moments later, Sasuke's power spiked, and black markings started covering his whole body. He bent his knees and shot towards Naruto far faster than he previously could and slashed his sword at Naruto. Although Sasuke was faster than he previously was, Naruto still managed to react in time and crush two kunai in front of him, blocking Sasuke's attack. However, Sasuke tightened the grip on his sword handle and sent some lightning chakra through his hand into the sword. While Sasuke was using the sword of Kusanagi, which is considered to be one of the world's strongest swords, Naruto was using normal kunai, so as soon as Sasuke started injecting lightning chakra into his weapon, it easily cut through Naruto's kunai. Naruto hastily jumped back to avoid getting cut, but in the end, Sasuke's sword still left a small wound on Naruto's body, causing him to smile wryly. That was sloppy of me. Good thing Nasan isn't here. Hee, how about I tell her? Huh? Do you dare? I still have that Madara x Hashirama jutsu in my repertoire. Oh? Is that how you want to play it? Very well, let's do it. Let's see who takes more damage, me, who has to watch it, or you, who actually has to make out with your own transformed clones. Naruto's mind came to a standstill when he heard Kurama's words as his face became as white as chalk. He never thought about the aspect of his forbidden sexy jutsu. Dangerous, way too dangerous. I will have to seal it away forever. Yeah, I thought so. Meanwhile, Sasuke saw Naruto's face pale and a smug expression appeared on his face. I see, it seems like you finally understood your situation. That's right, I am an Uchiha, so it is only natural for you to lose against me. While Sasuke was rambling on, Naruto woke up from his stupor and gave Sasuke a confused look. What is he doing? Why did he start monologuing? He is an Uchiha. Ah, right, that was a stupid question. Moments later, Naruto's pupils changed color and form, and then the tiny cut Sasuke managed to give him healed instantly. Oh well, sorry, but I wasn't paying attention to your words at all, Sasuke, and frankly, I don't care either. Since you already activated your Heki mode, I guess I should get a little serious as well. Although Sasuke frowned at the term Heki mode, Naruto's changed appearance didn't intimidate him in the slightest. Or rather, he was waiting for Naruto to use Kurama's chakra. The Kyuubi's power, huh? So what? In the end, all of that is worthless in front of the Sharingan. Moments later, Naruto and Sasuke's eyes met, and Naruto could feel someone trying to invade his mind. Is he trying to get into my mindscape? Is he crazy? I doubt that he even considered whether you know how to control it or not. He probably wants to get in here to temporarily cut my connection to you, which might be possible if I was still sealed. Hee, but you aren't, which means Sasuke's attempt is doomed to fail from the start. Additionally, there will be lots of opportunities to mess with him while he blindly stumbles around my mindscape. I will let him in without any resistance. That means... Yes, it's exactly as you think. Time to mess with an Uchiha. Naruto and Kurama's facial features both distorted in glee when they said the last part simultaneously. Someone is going to have a bad time. Chapter 335, Messing with an Uchiha. Moments later, Sasuke found himself inside a dark corridor, which confused him quite a bit. So far, whenever he tried doing what he just did, he ended up inside a sewer system after all. What is going on here? Where am I? As if to answer his question, a pie came flying towards his face, which caused his eyes to widen in surprise. Just before he was about to be hit in the face, he slightly tilted his head, resulting in the pie missing its target. What the hell was th? Splat. The moment the pie sailed past him, it started spinning and somehow managed to turn around in midair as if it was a boomerang, resulting in it hitting his face anyway. What the FCK? Naturally, Sasuke became angry after getting attacked like that, but he couldn't see the person accountable no matter where he looked. Kukuku tilde. Yuri laughter echoed through the corridor, causing chills to go up Sasuke's spine. Somehow, that laughter reminded him of a memory he tried to suppress with all his mind. Moments later, a slim figure appeared on the other end of the corridor, and as soon as Sasuke saw who it was, he instinctively took a step back. Kukuko, it is finally time for me to enter your body, Sasuke-kun. Naturally, that person was Orochimaru himself, and as soon as that sentence left his mouth, he struck out his tongue and greedily licked over his lips with an excited expression on his. But, unlike the normal Orochimaru, this one was wearing a tight green spandex suit, had massive eyebrows, and had a splendid, shining bowl-cut hairstyle. If it was the normal Orochimaru, Sasuke wouldn't care less about him, but the one currently standing in front of him caused waves of absolute terror to course through his body. Sasuke wasn't sure why, but he felt like Orochimaru's appearance gave him flashbacks of something terrible that happened in the past. So, without a second of hesitation, Sasuke turned around and ran away. Unfortunately, Orochimaru wouldn't give up so quickly and started slithering after him. Kukuko, don't be afraid, Sasuke-kun, I swear I will enter you gently. The hairs on Sasuke's back started standing upright while another shiver of disgust and terror went through his body. His speed seemed to increase even further, while creepy laughter that seemed to originate directly beside his ear pushed him even further. By now, he tried multiple times to pull back his consciousness, but no matter what he tried, he was stuck here and couldn't get out. Although he didn't know what was going on, he didn't need to be a genius to understand that something clearly went wrong. A few moments of running later, Sasuke reached a door, and to his relief, it wasn't locked either. The moment he passed the door, the feeling of someone chasing him down vanished, causing him to sigh in relief, just for his body to stiffen again when he saw what greeted him behind the door. A genuinely gigantic fox was currently lying on the ground while looking at him like it had just found an incredibly amusing little toy. Sasuke heard that the Kyuubi was around 100 meters tall, which was already incredibly massive, but the fox in front of him was easily 10 times that size. Well, to think that a little Uchiha baby would stumble in here, how amusing tilde. When the fox spoke, the air itself seemed to tremble, and Sasuke couldn't help but take a step back from the pressure alone. However, after regaining his wits, his Sharingan activated while meeting the fox's gaze. He heard that the Sharingan was the best tool to subdue a Bijou, and that was what he was going to do. Unfortunately, all he got for his attempt was a chuckle of amusement from the fox. Hee, will you look at that? The little baby wants to influence me with his immature eyes. How cute tilde. Naturally, Sasuke's temper flared from being repeatedly mocked like that. Why? My eyes should be able to control you. Why doesn't it work? Besides, what is with that ridiculous size? Another low, rumbling chuckle escaped the fox's mouth, causing Sasuke to stagger back some more. My current size is due to me being at my actual peak of power, unlike the suppressed version I had to manifest previously. As for your Sharingan, it is indeed a Bijou's natural enemy. Luckily, I have my obedient little puppet to dispel its influence for me. Naruto appeared next to it as the fox said that, but unlike his usual vibrant facial expression, there were absolutely no emotions on his face, while his eyes seemed distant and unfocused. Sasuke's eyes widened when he saw Naruto's current condition, and after letting his Sharingan wander over the fox and Naruto, his face blanched. Why you are not sealed anymore? Sasuke might be arrogant and prideful, but even he was not delusional enough to believe that he could fight the strongest of the Bijou all by himself. Wrong, I was never sealed in the first place. Let me ask you a question, little baby. Do you think Naruto Uzumaki actually exists? Do you believe that a newborn could contain my power? Laughable. The moment I was sealed, I could have broken free instantly, but I was weakened due to various reasons, so I decided to keep this convenient body and recover my strength. Naturally, Sasuke was gobsmacked by that revelation. Why are you telling me all of this? The fox's face distorted into one filled with nothing but pure glee. Because I genuinely hate the Uchiha clan, and there is nothing more pleasurable for me than to see an Uchiha's face distort into terror and fear after he realizes that he just doomed himself. For example, after he realizes that he just invaded the mind of a being that was alive even before Uchiha Madara's grandparents walked this world, that the only reason he managed to enter the previously mentioned mind was due to being allowed to, and that he currently had no way of getting out. Sasuke's facial expression changed, and he immediately tried to muster all the chakra he could, but no matter what he did, he couldn't return his consciousness to his body. Yes, that is precisely the facial expression I was talking about tilde. As the enormous fox said those words, it got up from his prone position, showing a ferocious smile on its face. Well then, little baby, I hope you can entertain me a little before you perish. Chapter 336, Sasuke's Reality Check. While Sasuke was being chased down by a massive fox, Naruto and Kurama watched the spectacle with amusement. Naturally, the supersized fox was not the real Kurama but just a projection. That was also the reason why the occasional ninjutsu Sasuke used were utterly ineffective. Seems like things are turning out well, Kurama. Making you 10 times larger was a good distraction that made Sasuke not think too deeply about what was being said. Indeed, as soon as he gets a moment to take a breath and think in peace, he will probably see through the ruse. Indeed. Whoops, it seems like the game's over. Just as Naruto said that a giant fox paw descended onto Sasuke, naturally, the fox wasn't real, so even if it trampled on Sasuke, nothing would happen, so just when Sasuke was about to be squished, Naruto booted him out of his minscape. Meanwhile, back in the outside world, Sasuke staggered backward while blood started leaking out of his eyes. Hee, how was it? Did you enjoy your trip, Sasuke? Sasuke was still a little dazed due to what he had just experienced, but as soon as he heard Naruto's words, he shook his head to regain his bearing. When Sasuke saw Naruto's cheeky grin, a frown appeared on his face as the gears in his head slowly started turning. Moments later, Sasuke's face twisted in anger as he started yelling at Naruto. "You bastard, you tricked me. I will kill you, I will definitely kill you, Naruto. Sasuke." The moment Sasuke finished yelling his name, Naruto yelled Sasuke's name in return, and after realizing what he had just done, question marks appeared above his head. What the F was that? I have no clue. Somehow, that just slipped out by accident. Oh? Is that like the verbal tick? Probably. While Naruto and Kurama were chatting with each other, Sasuke's body started changing. His skin became red, his face grew more feminine, his breasts and butt got more voluminous, he grew a pair of wings, and last but not least, a long thin tail with a heart at it and grew out of the place slightly above his butt. When Naruto saw Sasuke's transformation, his jaw slightly dropped. Although Yuna had told him what she did with Orochimaru's seal, he didn't think it would end up being this erotic. However, moments later, he felt two additional pairs of eyes on him that were emitting considerable amounts of killing intent, so he quickly averted his gaze. That's just unreasonable, it's not like I'm responsible for Sasuke looking like that. Well, but you did take a peek, didn't you? Damn it, I'm still a man, you know. Good luck explaining that to Ino and Haku. Berg, I will manage somehow. Since we are traveling with the young pervert, I will just distract them with something he did. That should work out easily. Sayuna is a seriously bad influence on you. I'm not denying that. Meanwhile, Sasuke glared at Naruto with unrestrained hatred, and moments later, she vanished from where she stood and reappeared in front of Naruto with her hand already reeled back and lightning chakra surrounding it. A deep sigh escaped Naruto as the chakra coating him generated 3 chakra tails. Just when Sasuke's attack was about to pierce through Naruto's body, he lifted his hand and stopped the strike a few centimeters before it could hit him. Impasse. Boom. Before Sasuke could comment any further on what just happened, Naruto's chakra-coated fist smashed into her stomach, sending her flying through a dozen of trees before she finally came to a stop. It took Sasuke a while to get out of her dazed state, and when she did, she shakily stood up and looked at Naruto in complete bewilderment. Why? Why am I not your match? Aren't I supposed to be a genius? Aren't I supposed to be special? Why? Why can't I even put a scratch on your body? When Naruto heard Sasuke's desperate words and saw the hopelessness clearly visible on his face, another deep sigh escaped his lips. Why don't I just kill him, Kurama? Right now, there would be no repercussion if I did so why don't I want to do it? Hasn't Yuna occasionally called you a kind-hearted fool? Pretty sure that's the reason. So it's that little bit of camaraderie we developed while we were part of Team 7, huh? How annoying. I really am a kind-hearted fool, huh? Oh well, the least I can do is explain the reason for his failure to him. Since words apparently won't get through to him, it's time to use a more direct teaching method. As Naruto finished his thoughts, a very dangerous-looking smile appeared on his face, and he resumed talking. It seems you have some kind of misunderstanding, Sasuke. When Sasuke heard Naruto's words and saw a surprisingly severe expression on his face, he immediately put all of his attention on him. You are a genius, and you certainly are special. You are an Uchiha, one of the oldest existing clans, and you are even the son of the Uchiha clan's patriarch. You managed to fully awaken your Sharingan before the age of 16. Additionally, despite being so young, you can already fight and kill a Jonin, so no matter how I look at it, you are an incredible genius. Sasuke was genuinely shocked by what Naruto had just said, but before he could ask Naruto any questions, he continued talking. The problem is that you are comparing yourself with Nasan and me. The Uzumaki clan is a clan that is just as ancient as the Uchiha clan, and like you, we are the children of the Uzumaki clan's previous leader. But Nasan and I are the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki on top of that. As soon as Naruto stopped talking, he got on all fours, while an additional 2 tails grew out of his back, bringing him to a total of 5. I will show it to you, Sasuke. The 5 tails moved, and moments later, they all pointed at a single point in midair right in front of the chakra cloak's mouth. I will show you the difference in scale between a trained Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi and a genius. Massive amounts of chakra concentrated on the tips of the 5 tails, causing Sasuke to tremble in fear by the sheer power displayed. This is the difference between someone who is called a genius and someone who is called a monster. A dense, black orb of chakra formed in front of Naruto's mouth, its mere presence already causing the ground to shake. Bijudama. The black orb shot towards Sasuke, but it flew past him by a slight margin instead of hitting him. Sasuke didn't dodge it, in fact, he couldn't. The only reason Sasuke did not get turned to dust was that Naruto wasn't aiming at him from the start. Sasuke's gaze followed the flight path of the Bijudama that just passed him in absolute terror, and moments later, an earth-shaking explosion occurred hundreds of meters away from him. Despite being that far away from the point of impact, Sasuke was struggling not to be blown away by the wind pressure alone, and moments later, a gigantic mushroom cloud could be seen in the distance. What in the world is that power? Is that really something a human can do? No, that is what this is all about, after all. This is not the power of a human, it's the power of a monster. Now, everything makes sense. I was not getting bested by a human, but by a monster. While Sasuke was in deep contemplation and Naruto was satisfied with the aftermath of his attacks, another voice echoed over the battlefield. Oh my Tilda, are you perhaps bullying Sasuke-kun? Toby is not happy, Tilda. While the Bijudama was exploding, another person appeared on the battlefield. He wore a black cloak with red cloud ornaments on it and an orange spiral pattern mask with a single eye hole. The moment Naruto noticed the arrival of that person, incomprehensible quantities of killing intent flooded the forest. Chapter 337, It's not seeking revenge, it's a good deed. While Naruto and Sasuke were fighting, Obito watched the fight from a distance with his Sharingan. He knew that Naruto had an extensive sensing range, so he stayed as far away from him as possible without losing the ability to intervene in the fight. Obito hoped that Sasuke could force Naruto to use his full strength, but that clearly wouldn't work out. So things are getting worse by the day. If I had known that they would be this absurd, I would have killed them straight after their birth and immediately collected the Kyuubi instead of having it destroy Konoha. Oh well, this might be an excellent chance to capture him. I only need to suck him into my dimension and then see where I go from there. So far, I haven't heard whether he can use the Flying Thunder God Seal or not, but I'm somewhat confident that he can. Let's treat this as a test on whether someone can get out of my dimension like that or not. There might be a chance that he can ignore my Kamua like his sister, so I need to tread carefully. Moments later, Naruto's Bijudama exploded, causing a severe expression to appear on Obito's masked face. What monstrous power! Truly worthy of the name of strongest Biju. Oh well, time to intervene. Considering Naruto's absurd senses, there is no chance a sneak attack will work, so I might as well appear directly in front of him. The best case scenario would be to get him angry enough to lose his sanity, but I somewhat doubt that will work out so easily. Obito was engulfed by a spiral pattern that seemed to ripple through space, and the next moment he stood next to the shell-shocked Sasuke. Oh my Tilda, are you perhaps bullying Sasuke-kun? Toby is not happy, Tilda. And then, Toby was engulfed by obscene amounts of killing intent, causing even him to flinch. Although he had faced the Kyuubi before and felt his killing intent, he only felt it passively radiating out of the giant fox, but now it was directly pointed at him. Before he could adequately regain his wits, Naruto, wearing an 8-tailed chakra cloak, appeared in front of him, eyes ferociously gleaming like a predator looking at its prey. Despite being stunned by the sudden attack, Obito still managed to activate his Kamui in time, resulting in Naruto's attack harmlessly passing through him. Naruto landed on all fours and snarled at Obito like a wild beast. "Oh? Have you lost your mind? How scary." Seemingly angered by Obito's teasing words, Naruto recklessly charged at him again, just to harmlessly pass through Obito's body. Meanwhile, Sasuke shook in fear when he saw Naruto's current state. He actually could not see Naruto move due to his insane speed, which shocked him even more than the Bijudama Naruto shot not even a minute ago. After all, he had a fully matured Sharingan, yet he couldn't even see Naruto move. That meant that if Naruto took him even slightly seriously, Sasuke would die instantly, killed before he could even understand what was going on. "I need to run. There is no way for me to win, and since the Orange Weirdo's technique that allows things to pass through him seems to work on the current Naruto, he will serve as a good distraction for my escape. Guess our alliance was relatively short-lived, but who cares? As for Jugo and Swajetsu, they should be fine. I will just meet up with them later on." On the other hand, Obito was rather happy about the current situation. Naruto seemed to have lost himself to the rage, which meant that Yuna very likely told him about who killed his parents and that he wanted to avenge them now. This was precisely what Obito wanted to happen, because if Naruto kept getting angrier, the Kyuubi should be able to break free from Naruto, which would allow Obito to control him with his Sharingan. Naruto was about to lunge at Obito again when his movement stopped abruptly. Instead of attacking again, he raised his head and looked at Obito with a ferocious grin. "Hee, thanks for being an overconfident idiot, Obito." Obito drew a blank when he heard Naruto's words, but before he could understand what was going on, Naruto clapped his hands together and gathered massive amounts of chakra. Uzumaki sealing style, space confinement. A total of 10 chakra pillars rose around 100 meters around Naruto and Obito's current position and arched towards them. They met around 100 meters above Obito's head, and not even a second later, the whole area was covered by a massive dome with thousands of seals drawn all over it. Yet again, Naruto shot towards Obito at insane speed, and yet again Obito activated his Kamui to let Naruto pass through him, but this time, the outcome was a little different. Boom. Naruto's fist punched right into Obito's masked face, sending him flying like a meteor, causing him to smash into the surrounding barrier. Moments later, Obito smacked onto the ground. After dazedly looking around for a moment, he noticed another Naruto sitting outside of the barrier with his hands on the ground and in deep concentration. Additionally, a line of complex seals connected him to another 2 Narutos seated in a similar position a short distance away from the first one. Undoubtedly, Naruto's clones were stationed around the barrier and supported its existence. Only now did Obito realize that Naruto's seemingly mindless attacks were just a distraction, so he could set up this barrier, which apparently could prevent him from using his Kamui. Meanwhile, Naruto chuckled in amusement and reduced the number of tails to 7. "Phew, I will definitely have a muscle ache tomorrow, 8 tails and no jerk." "You are seriously crazy. You do realize that I could have easily taken over your body, right?" Naruto could only chuckle in amusement when he heard Kurama's words. "Hee, but you didn't, did you? I trust my friends, you know." Kurama couldn't help but feel a little warm when he heard Naruto's words, and he was just about to dismiss Naruto's statement with a derisive comment when Naruto continued talking. "Besides, if you really tried that, I'm sure Nasan would do something, somehow." Kurama couldn't help but shudder a little when he heard Naruto's words. Trying to take over Naruto's body would certainly summon Yuna, which he would rather not have to deal with. Naruto, seemingly not noticing Kurama's state of mind, smacked his fist into his palm with an excited expression. Time to beat the shit out of someone. I can't wait. Additionally, a few of my clones are already preparing something extra special for Obito, so this will be a lot of fun. Tilda. The abomination your clones are currently creating aside, I'm honestly surprised that you would seek revenge. No, Kurama, I'm not seeking revenge at all. Obito is officially declared dead, so wouldn't it be a lot of paperwork for our beloved Hokage if he were to turn out alive? If I could kill him today, I would save Tsunade a lot of paperwork, and I would even allow Obito to stay a hero who died during the war. So, killing him is 100% a good deed and has nothing to do with revenge. That is complete and utter bullshit, and you know it. Naruto's face twisted into a ferocious grin before he answered Kurama. I do. Chapter 338, Obito in Hell. Currently, Obito was in hell. First of all, no matter what he did, he could not get out of the barrier surrounding the area. No matter how much he tried to break it, the barrier didn't show any signs of cracking. Additionally, he currently could not use his Kamui, so that option of flame was gone as well. Second, Naruto was faster and stronger than him, so he had severe trouble even staying on his 2 feet and had no time to invest in cracking the barrier due to that. Finally, Naruto seemed to be dead set on humiliating him as much as possible, as dozens of different prank seals were constantly activated, making the battle even more strenuous for Obito. He had to continually judge whether he was about to be hit by a harmless prank or a deadly attack. For example, a pie was about to hit him in the stomach, which he decided not to dodge at first, since it wouldn't deal any damage to him and wouldn't hinder his movements. But, just when he was about to be hit, his instincts flared, and he twisted his body aside to dodge the pie. The pie flew past him and smacked into a tree, resulting in the pie exploding like an explosive tag, which caused cold sweat to flow down Obito's back. Damn it, that brat is utterly crazy. Who in their right mind would stuff an exploding tag into a pie? Well, his whole combat style is rather freaky, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Good thing I have the Sharingan, otherwise, that suspicious liquid that he splashed into my face would have probably blinded me. Damn it, why are my eyes tearing up? This is somewhat distracting. Good thing I have Hashirama's cells as well, otherwise that poison powder he managed to slip into my clothes would have been dangerous for sure. Damn it, why is my body so itchy? This is so distracting. Meanwhile, Naruto wasn't too happy about the current situation either. The reason for that was relatively obvious: Obito was still alive. Although one might think that Naruto was playing around with Obito, that was not the case at all. He had a good reason for mixing pranks into his attacks. A shinobi's instincts were very fine-tuned to killing intent, so Naruto could slowly push Obito into a corner by combining actual attacks and pranks. For example, Naruto did not doubt that Obito would have dodged the itching powder Naruto sprinkled into his clothes or the pepper spray he splashed into his face if those attacks actually contained killing intent. Obito's guard will drop slowly but surely, and an attack he deemed to be harmless at first will hit him. That is, of course, if he survives Naruto's onslaught for long enough. Frankly, Obito should not be able to survive that long against Seven-Tail mode, but the visual prowess of his Mangekyo Sharingan and his ability to use wood style, which suppressed Bijou Chakra, allowed him to do so. A deep frown appeared on Naruto's face when he got a set of memories from one of his clones outside the barrier. Apparently, a weird black and white creature came out of the ground and tried to dispel one of the clones supporting the barrier, but another clone intervened and got dispelled instead. Let's see, what did Nasen say that thing's name was? I think she called him Plant, but I somehow doubt that that is his real name. Seriously, why does she always give people weird nicknames? Anyway, I hereby dub him Bird Poop since it can be black and white just like this guy's color scheme. Meanwhile, Bird Poop, or as he is actually called, Zetsu, had to sneeze, which almost made him get hit by an icicle that was shot at him by Haku. Ino and Haku finished their fights a while ago and have been spectating Naruto's battles since then. They could have helped him but decided not to do so since Naruto seemed to have everything under control. But, a few minutes later, one of Naruto's clones was destroyed by a weird-looking creature, so they decided to intervene. So, right now, they were standing side by side in front of Zetsu, while a few clones of Naruto were around as well. Additionally, the skin around Haku's eyes had a pure white coloration, while there was a matching, light blue coloration around Ino's eyes. Ino was just about to ask Naruto what that thing in front of her was when it opened its mouth and started talking. Is he an idiot? He is an idiot. Didn't he just want to spectate the fight? Why is he suddenly fighting in a death match? How did that idiot manage to get his Kamua sealed? If he is so eager to die, he should do so after our plans succeed. On a side note, why is everyone casually using natural energy nowadays? What is even going on? Isn't that bad? Isn't that like really bad? It is really bad. While Zetsu talked with himself, Naruto, Ino, and Haku exchanged confused glances, and moments later, Naruto started talking. I'm not really sure why he is talking to himself, but his name is Bird Poop. Ino and Haku couldn't help but choke a little when they heard that name. Although both of them were relatively sure that Naruto made that up, they still chuckled a little when they realized how Naruto came up with that name. Naturally, Zetsu was not happy about being mocked like that and was just about to retaliate when a loud smack echoed over the battlefield, causing everyone to look at the source of the sound. Obito was just smacked face first into the barrier. His whole body was covered in all kinds of suspicious-looking liquids, while his face was twisted in despair. As soon as he saw Zetsu, a glimmer of hope flashed through his eyes. Please, get me out of here. His voice was filled with terror and despair, and before Zetsu could answer Obito's words, one of the Naruto clones nodded in approval and opened his mouth. Seems like the new pranking array I developed is a huge success, but from the way it looks, my main body didn't have time to try out all of its functions yet. A shudder passed through Obito when he heard the clone's words as his gaze returned to Zetsu. Please, hurry. Even Zetsu couldn't help but pity Obito a little, so he decided to act. He got down on one knee while amassing massive amounts of chakra before slamming his hands on the ground. With style, nativity of a world of trees. The ground began to rumble as hundreds of trees started growing towards one of the Narutos controlling the barrier, while simultaneously, hundreds of white Zetsu burst out of the ground in front of every other copy of Naruto that was holding the barrier in place and attacked them as well. Haku frowned and clapped her hands together while gathering massive amounts of chakra as well. Ice cultivation style, glacier creation. A wall of ice rose in front of Haku and crashed into the approaching trees, causing the ground to shake and powerful shockwaves to erupt from the clash of jutsus. Meanwhile, Ino considered entering Zetsu's mind but decided not to do so due to Naruto telling her that the creature in front of her was a very old being. She had no confidence in suppressing the mind of something that old yet, so she decided to disturb its thoughts and mess with its perception. However, before she could do so, an angry roar echoed over the battlefield. You effing piece of shit, I will definitely take your head next time. Before Ino could understand what was going on, the barrier surrounding Obito and Naruto started wobbling and moments later vanished. Just getting rid of one Naruto clone wouldn't have been enough to dispel the barrier, but it seems like the white Zetsus managed to kill enough clones for them to succeed in their endeavor. After all, the clones protecting the barrier weren't allowed to move, while the white Zetsus had no problems throwing their lives away to reach their goal, making safeguarding the clones an almost impossible endeavor. Another loud boom echoed over the battlefield as Naruto's chakra-coated body landed on the ground next to Ino and Haku, and without a second of hesitation, a condensed ball of chakra was generated in front of Naruto's mouth and was shot at Zetsu. Although Zetsu was surprised by the ruthless attack, if it was about running away, then very few were his match, so before the Bijudama could hit him, he simply sank into the ground and escaped the attack. While Zetsu was fleeing and the Bijudama was wreaking havoc, Ino and Haku looked at Naruto worriedly. They had never seen Naruto get that angry before. Naruto, are you? Naruto saw the worry in the duo's eyes, and after taking a deep breath, his chakra cloak vanished and a wry smile appeared on his face. No need to worry, I'm still pretty angry that he got away, but no worries. Ino and Haku sighed in relief when they heard Naruto's words and saw that he appeared to be fine. However, before they could say anything else, a mischievous smile appeared on Naruto's face as his hand snaked around the duo's hips. Hee, but if you want me to feel better, how about you pamper me lots? Ino and Haku both blushed a little before nodding in agreement while chuckling slightly. Ha ha ha, awesome. Well then, let's continue our date. Chapter 339, Manipulating Sasuke began. Sasuke was currently sitting inside a cave quite the distance away from where he met Naruto. He had a deep frown on his face and was constantly muttering to himself. What am I supposed to do now? I can't win against Naruto, he's a monster after all. Yuna is probably the same, so I can't win against her either, which only leaves Itachi. But is Itachi truly weaker than those two? I don't believe it. No, I'm not willing to believe that. Sasuke's anger exploded, causing him to smash his fist into a nearby wall, resulting in the whole cave shaking. Seriously, what am I supposed to do now? Should I try to become a Jinchuriki as well? That should help, right? But, as far as I know, that won't be easy at all. Additionally, that Weeder with the orange mask told me that his organization is collecting the Bisha, and I doubt he would be willing to give me one of them. I probably will have to hunt one of them down myself. Additionally, I will have to find out how the sealing process works. When Sasuke thought about hunting down a Bijou by himself, he couldn't help himself and tremble a little as the image of Naruto in an eight-tailed chakra cloak popped up in his mind. As soon as he realized what had just happened, he gritted his teeth as anger flooded his body. Damn it, I'm not afraid of that idiot. Never. Moments later, Sasuke's face scrunched up as a really nasty smell reached his nose while the sound of footsteps echoed through the cave. In no way is Naruto coming after me. I need to run. Sasuke was just about to flee when he saw who entered the cave, which almost caused him to trip over his own feet. The person wore the usual Akatsuki robe, but his hair had a glossy pink color and he was wearing a colorful clown mask. Additionally, the man seemed to be the source of the nasty smell. Although Sasuke wasn't entirely sure about it, he assumed that the person in front of him was Tobi, who he ditched a short while ago. Sasuke was quite astounded that the man managed to survive Naruto's onslaught, but his outfit was currently more shocking to Sasuke. Why are you where? Do not ask about that. Okay. Anyway, why did you follow me? Do you want revenge for me ditching you? As Sasuke said that, his Sharingan activated and he got into a combat-ready stance. However, Obito only shrugged his shoulders in disinterest. I don't care about that. After all, we have only seen each other as useful tools from the start and not as allies. Isn't that right? When Sasuke heard Obito's question, he simply nodded his head in agreement while relaxing his stance. That's right, but that still doesn't explain why you came here. Indeed. Frankly, I only came here for a little conversation. Why do you think you lost so easily against Naruto, Sasuke? Because he has a monster sealed inside him. Although Sasuke wasn't happy that Obito mentioned his defeat, he still answered him instantly. The mere idea that there might be another reason for his failure didn't even cross his mind for a second. Correct, so there are only two options to best him. Either you capture your own monster and seal it inside you, or you become a monster yourself. Become a monster myself? What is that supposed to mean? The condition to evolve the Sharingan, do you know about it? Sasuke's eyes shone when he heard Obito's words as he realized what he was missing to defeat Naruto. Right, I have to kill my most treasured person, but I have no one like that. As soon as he realized the problem, he couldn't help but deflate a little. Not because he had no one he treasured, but because he had no one he treasured that he could kill to get stronger. Yes, that is one method, but that one is actually not that great. If you evolve your eyes like that, they will have a considerable weakness. The more you use them, the blinder you become. Sasuke's eyes widened in surprise when he heard Obito's claim. So you are saying that there is a method that prevents that from happening? Tell me. What is it? Although Obito was somewhat annoyed by Sasuke's commanding tone, he didn't care about that for now. You have to steal the eyes of your brother and use them yourself. Now, I think you got a pretty good idea why Itachi allowed you to live all these years ago. He doesn't care about you in the slightest, he only wants you to live so he can harvest your eyes when the time is right. Sasuke's eyes widened in shock when he heard Obito's claim. Although he was dumbfounded by what he had just heard, he believed Obito's words nonetheless. After all, that would be the perfect explanation for why Itachi didn't kill him. I see, he wants my eyes. So what? I will just take his before he can take mine. And then, I will be able to kill Naruto and Yuna, ha ha ha. While Sasuke was going a little mental, Obito could only shake his head in pity. A few minutes ago, Sasuke was despairing over his weakness, and after giving him a little push, he instantly makes a comeback and immediately starts fantasizing over his revenge. Well, Obito was rather happy that Sasuke was like that, since that made it very easy to manipulate him. If Sasuke weren't the best way to get rid of Itachi, Obito would probably not have been willing to deal with him. Moments later, Sasuke snapped out of his fantasy and eyed Obito with suspicion. How do you know about all of that? Right now, Obito would have liked to take off his mask and show Sasuke that he was an Uchiha as well, but unfortunately, no matter what he did, the clown mask wouldn't budge. Instead, he simply activated his Sharingan and showed it off to Sasuke. Although quite a bit of flair was lost, Sasuke could still see Obito's Sharingan change through the eye hole of the clown mask. Because I went through the same process to get mine.